So next up is a panel again, led by Tracy Ingram again, the managing director, the managing editor of Frame, about yet another retail-driven subject, namely what retail can learn from hospitality. For that panel, we have again some jury members and we have some external people who are not involved in the Frame Awards, but maybe will be next year. To be really honest, we had some slight changes in the panel, so I'm not entirely sure who will be coming and who will not be coming. So please forgive me if I don't shout out for you at this very moment. But Matteo Bressamin, Global Retail Manager of Nespresso, welcome.
Thank you for the invitation. Hello, everybody.
Liran Wizman, the CEO of the European Hotel Private Collection, very welcome.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you, Liran.
Then I think on the Tobias Koch from Concrete Architectural Associates in Amsterdam. Local firm with a portfolio that spans the globe.
Hello.
And Alon Baranowitz, global traveler, I've heard yesterday, from Tel Aviv, Amsterdam, working on hotels, restaurants, retail stores, and the likes. I think a fantastic panel. Tracy, once again, the floor is yours.
Thank you. We're a bit uneven here. Maybe.
Well, I'll move over here. Very easy.
Okay.
Just not leave me alone.
Welcome.
But there were more people coming.
Welcome. So as Robert mentioned, we're talking about what retail can learn from hospitality. I'll just do a brief introduction to where we think we're at with these topics, and then we'll do a bit of a more elaborate introduction of each of you, and then we can start the discussion. But if anyone from the audience has questions as we're going on, please raise a hand. We'll keep it a bit more informal, and someone will come along with a microphone and you can join in the discussion. So many of the recent hospitality projects that we really considered interesting at Frame were looking at things going really extremely local. So not just the food, which is of course something many restaurants do, but also down to the design, the materials, the manufacturers, everything as local as possible. And these hospitality stores are also speaking to the senses and tapping into local communities as well while they're doing it. So we also know that personalization and personalized service are becoming increasingly important. Personalized service, of course, has been a long ongoing factor in hospitality already, things like hotels, for example. But we think this is very different from the outdated retail concept of stores and hotel chains, actually, which can look the same wherever they are in the world. So we're kind of posing the question of what can this new wave of hospitality tell us about how we can approach retail as well. So again, we have here Alon Baranowitz from Baranowitz and Kronenberg. He's the founder. And you founded it in Tel Aviv in 1999, I believe.
Yeah,
yep. So the studio has worked on a lot of hotels and restaurants around the world. One here, I think the W Hotel in Amsterdam as well, which many of you may know, locals. Then we have Tobias Koch from Concrete. So Concrete, we think they really push the envelope with whatever they do, particularly hospitality projects. So things like Zoku, if anyone knows that, quite a different way of looking at hospitality. It's more like a micro apartment than a hotel. Citizen M, of course. And there's also a bit of a retail portfolio going on with Concrete as well. Yes. So there's a bit of a blend of genres here as well. Matteo, welcome. Nespresso Global Retail Channel Manager. So you're already kind of connecting retail and hospitality in a way with a product
we're trying
like
to
coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you know also about integrating technological aspects into your stores, I think. Things that actually work, not just how can we put technology in there, but what actually works. And I think the latest breed of Nespresso stores was also really about engaging the senses So how can you bring that smell of coffee into the retail environment? Yeah. Liran, Wizman from Europe Hotels Private Collection, chairman and founder. Born in Israel, currently living and working in Amsterdam, and a lot of hotels all around Europe, including Sir Hotels, Max Brown Hotels, W Hotel.
Edition in Milan soon.
Yeah. Watch this space.
Yeah.
Great. So first, I'd like to start. If you would all give a brief kind of roundup of where things are at right now. What are you currently working on in that particular in your particular field?
I think we're still revolutionizing the hotel world with a new concept, new approaches. I think an interesting merge what we do currently is finding a balance or a new gap between long-term hotel, short-term apartment living. And this is also very much brought to life by public spaces, by the life that really people see in a hotel lobby, but also if you have apartments, that join around one public space, one like pulse of life, where in the morning you get your coffees, you have lunch, the space transforms in the evening, like the experience. I think this is what we're aiming for. The experience is the one that's counting.
And it sounds like a more social experience you're talking about.
It's a social experience, but I think it's about storytelling. It's about identity, where we are, what the project is, and how the consumer can easily understand that. And I think these focus points can work in hospitality, but they can also be taken over, translated to retail.
Okay,
and I think this is later very interesting.
Okay, we'll talk more about that then.
Thank you for passing. I think that we're living in really an exciting moment of, historically speaking, where different industries are in a kind of merging together. So what we see is that there is not one unique, let's say, answer to consumer, and consumer are expecting this kind of interactivity among different industry. When they go to hotels, they are expecting a retail experience, and vice versa. When they are in a store, they don't look for a showroom experience. They look for something that definitely is personalized and customized around the uniqueness of the customer itself. So this is really a moment that we can take it as a kind of critical and a kind of crisis for many industry, or as a big opportunity for future step forward and reinventing several industries, hospitality, retail, and not only.
Thank you. What's happening for you?
Well, we are trying really to, I mean, I agree with everything that has been said here. I don't want to repeat it, but what we also trying to do is look at the bigger picture of cities and buildings, and using the hotels, buildings, all these edifices. How can they make our cities much better? You know, how is the space becomes really part and parcel of the blood circle, you know, of a city. Because what are hotels today? I mean, they are really, I mean, this notion of hotels or retail is starting really to be very flux, you know? So up to the point where we enter and we don't know where we entered. We just understand there's something meaningful is happening there and we want to take part in it, you know? So I think trying to bring hotels, buildings of hotels, you know, to be really integrative, event platforms, performative spaces. I think this is where the future is going.
Thank you. Liran.
I think that the biggest change is that everything is changing all the time. Nobody knows what is going to come tomorrow. Borders becoming very vague. If you see Zoku and hotels and normal hotel rooms, I heard now that Hilton is doing a flexible space. So hotel, residential, offices, restaurant, becoming a working place. So I think this is a really fascinating, you know, change in the hotel world, that people are not looking for definitions. All the sharing concept, maybe it goes too far in some places, but I think it will come back in other places. And I think there are many, many more surprises going to come in the next few years with that.
And as a hotelier, I mean, if things are changing really that rapidly, but you're still building permanent space, how do you deal with that?
Taking the best people and thinking, trying to anticipate the future and to see what is going on. And I think the main thing that the spaces of today are have to be much more real and much more experience oriented. And everything is so transparent today, and you need to give the experience to the client, and people doesn't want just to come to a hotel room. So if it's a restaurant, if it's working places, and the public area are one that dominate actually the hotel.
Yeah. And if we talk about something like personalized service, which is something that already happens in hospitality and to a degree in retail, do you think, you now have, say, personalized fragrances, things like you can buy specifically for yourself in retail stores, operating restaurants in hospitality venues that also locals can go to, so sort of opening up this wider community. The boundaries are really changing, right? So what do you think personalized service can mean in retail from what we've learned from hospitality, how it works there?
I think this is the life that you need to get into the space. It's like every good hotel has a program in the hotel lobby.
Yeah.
Every evening something different is happening. I think if you have a retail space that is more like an epicenter flagship store where you have customization, personalization, then you have an interaction with the client. And I think this is what you need, because we all know the internet does my basic shopping needs. I don't have to go anywhere to get my new deodorant. But if I can go somewhere, talk to people, have the chat with the guy, he probably knows more than I do. He can kind of estimate who am I, what kind of character am I. These are personal services face to face. The same thing like getting a good coffee from somebody that really knows me, or a good drink. I think this is the new key to like fish your customers and make them feel welcome at home and valued. And this is more the scenario of tomorrow, instead of having 20 feet length of all T-shirt colors of my collection.
Yeah, but I think time plays a role as well. Of course, the time that you spend in a hotel is usually much longer than you spend in a retail store. And time is a luxury, we could say. A lot of people are using it almost as a currency. So how do you navigate that difference between these two genres? Or how do you provide that hook in a short-term space compared to a hotel? Anyone else is obviously more than welcome to discuss as well.
No, I think that you have to be more professional. Not to to be honest. 10, 20 years ago was much more easy. You were building a strong brand thanks to strong marketing activation, and then consumer were falling into your brand because you were creating an icon out of that. Today the game is a little bit different, and the pyramid is quite twisted. If before there was the brand and the consumer below, now consumer are becoming the king. So either you listen them and you are kind of understanding what they're looking for, and based on that you create an experience that is tailored around the consumer. Either you lose the battle. So all in all, it's about really understanding and recognizing each of any of your consumer one after the other, and not try to sell pre-cooked meals, but really reading in between the lines, understanding that today you may be a consumer that is looking for speed, convenience, and the day after you eventually look for an incredible experience, and you have a completely different state of mind. So also the way of reading a consumer is not unique. People are changing while during the week, while during the day. I may be in the rush during the week and I want to have my service quickly between Monday and Friday, and then on Saturday I'm with my family, I want to spend my day, I want to have a full experience no matter what, and I want to be treated as a king with all the services related to the brand that I'm dedicating. So for us as an industry, it's much more difficult, but exciting on top.
How do the hospitality experts over here?
I think that way back in terms of retail, like you mentioned, there was a product, there was a branding, and there was a story to the product, and that's it. I mean, you either love it or hate it, and that's it. But I think today, I mean, we need to really create a broader world around the product, almost to the sense that the product is left on the side and you are left with the, you know, with the air, with the smells, with the allure, you know, of what it is. What it is, what does it mean to enter a store such and such? So it's becoming more like a lifestyle, you know, like if I take a BMW that they were talking before Michael here, I told him, what if BMW was becoming a hotel chain? You know, how would it look like? Because we're talking about we're talking about a lifestyle at the end of the day. You know, so lifestyle is a world. You know, it's a galaxy. You know, and I think that we will see more and more retail thinking about this in such a manner, because the hotel has been doing it for quite a long time. We understood that it's not just about a bed and breakfast. You know, so we started introducing many layers that come from different worlds that there's nothing to do with hotels. And I think that if retail goes in the same way, you know, it would be amazing. I mean, it's really.
Yeah, because you also have your stay at a hotel extends far beyond the actual walls of the hotel into the city and into the environment that you're in, of course.
But also the hotel brings in many, you know, performers, talents, opportunities that happen in the city, and they say, hey, come here, you know, come inside, you know, we'll give you space to do it, you know. It will be a win-win. It's a synergy, you know, and it's a win-win situation.
Yeah. And do you think, for retail, does it have to be something more than simply taking hospitality aspects and putting them into a retail store? I mean, you have retail environments like Rafa in London. It's a bicycle store, and they do kind of try and tap into the community. They have they play the Tour de France, and people can come and have a coffee. And actually, the retail it's there, but it's hidden behind this veil of hospitality. Do you think that's a good solution? Do you think it's just implanting hospitality in, and there's better ways to go about this?
It's a good start, I think. You know, the way Rafa does it, they sell their stuff. You can also just go for a coffee, and you can watch the Tour de France. And I think it's a good beginning, but I think it can go a step further. And Arcade, which is the new shop by H&M, basically, I think they're doing a smart move. You come in, and it's a clothing store first of all. But before you know, it's the store is all grey, so it's basically very much in the background. The products are the focus. It's a bit like an online shop, kind of. And then before you're inside, you know already, oh, it's stationery, it's kitchen. And then you look around and you're in the coffee shop in the end. And I think there's an interesting connection, which would be the next step. It's organic food, organic coffee, and then we are at organic cotton. And these bridges, I think, they are the future to tell a better story to where the products come from. Probably, have customer engagement, have lectures, workshops, have more information that makes you curious to browse through the product range. And then at the same time, I think, what W is doing is a smart move. You have a design shop in your hotel, which basically opens the eyes to clients who, for the standard retail, are not even potential clients. At the same time, you give a lot of strong identity to your local product. And I think there is a lot more future overlap.
So more a lifestyle, selling a lifestyle then.
Selling a lifestyle, I mean, how cool would it be if all these commercials from Nike that I see, that the cool runner and the cool dude playing basketball and the skater, if I can go there, I want to go, I want to sit in this gym and see these people and be part of them. Like what you say, like back in the days, you just sold the image, and by wearing the shoes, I have the image in my head, but I want to be in the space. Like, how cool could that be? Yeah. Skate park.
I would say, to complement, I would say that if before people were inspiring for a brand and inspiring for a quality of a product, today, to be successful, you need really to take care of the full value chain of your brand, of your product. You need to inflate additional values that prove that you are doing something that is going beyond pure business, but really contributing to society, contributing to sustainability of the environmental aspects. So especially the new generation, they are so demanding in this kind of aspect. You have to definitely work the full value chain from the product creation to the final service in store to tell a strong story.
And you briefly touched on the X-Bank store, which is underneath the W Hotel. It sells only Dutch design, correct?
180 battery designers.
Yeah. And so why do that? What was the reason to do that? I mean, it's still separate from the hospitality, but integrated in the same building. And
first of all, the brand W and what we do in HPC is celebrating music, art, fashion, and this is the DNA of what we do. So it was a very natural move to come and celebrate it in the hotel. And I think we managed to really create there an amazing shop. Sorry, an amazing shop that bring all these people together and create them a podium to really show the stuff and do activations, if it's fashion shows or talks. And you see that a lot of the people that come, other than the people that lives in the city to this shop, is also people from the hotel. They really love this idea to integrate local and people that coming from New York, coming to Amsterdam. They feel they are part of Amsterdam, of the real Amsterdam. And I think it goes the same for the shop. It goes for the restaurant as well. And I think this is really the future of doing something real and not.
And what would be your ideal retail environment? Where should we be thinking? What aspects can we take? Where should we go?
Well, I can talk about my experience. So what we're trying to do is to completely get out of this showroom experience and really to shut down the transactional aspect of retail. First, we are in front of a big shift of consumer behaviors, more and more online sales, more and more, kind of lazy purchasing through online platform are putting in question the sustainability of retail. So our answer is to transform a space that before was a showroom into a space for experience, where the first reason to come is not to buy a product, but is to discover a story, to get engaged with the other. And it's all about creating spaces where you can share common passion. If you are able to do so, if you are able to create a kind of a square within a store, a square meaning a place like we are now, a space in which you can talk and engage with others, more is becoming interactive in this sense, more you can successfully implement a retail strategy.
So while hospitality, hotel environments, restaurants are acting like community hubs, the retail needs to do the same.
Yeah.
Needs to act like a hub.
That's the idea.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And for you?
No, I totally agree. I mean, that's.
Oh, we need some debate here. Come on. Yeah. Someone needs to disagree.
No. I mean, I really liked. The Nespresso shops. The entire revolution that you did with coffee. Which is great. And I'm really happy to hear that you are going to the next step, which is putting the product aside and say, okay, we are standing for something which is much more meaningful than coffee. And if we can bring this on, I think that would be really memorable and inspiring, and I think everybody should do that in retail. Because at the end of the day, most of the retail that we know, and I'm not talking about the prime, retail, which is still brick and mortar, doesn't use a lot of technology, but the usual retail experience is like me and the product. There's nobody in the middle. I mean, there's no story. It's just me and the price, or me and the product, and that's it. And I think these times are over. I mean, anyone who doesn't start mobilizing in the right direction is going to lose his business at the end of the day.
And I would say that the factor, the success factor that we, for many years, we as an industry, either hospitality but also retail, the factor that we under-evaluate is the human capital that we have. Our people, for many years, we believed that putting a product on the shelf or a service was enough. Today we understand that you need to have a well-prepared workforce capable to first listen, understand the consumer needs, and then turn in a unique and memorable experience, the customer experience. So the big effort is behind nurturing and preparing your workforce to be ready for such experience creation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, they have to. I think they have to be able to engage the customer. They have to be able to tell a story, and to. It's more about being sold, being part of the feeling, than having somebody who just swipes your card and does the checkout. Mm-hmm. And yeah, Alon, you talked about architecture in the beginning, city. Urban environment. I think this is the next step that will happen once the classic like grab and go shopping is gone of our everyday life. We'll get to a situation where the typical high street is moving out of town, where like a hotel, there's street where all the shops are. There's not one street where all the hotels are. So the shops will be the concept shops, the epicenters, experience centers. They'll be more like throughout town. Like how cool in Amsterdam would it be to have a couple of nice shops at the NDSM in Noord, where we really want to go to and experience the product more. Mm-hmm. I think it's more, yeah, it's a destination. You know about it, you hear about it from friends, you want to go there, and that makes it cool and also discoverable, instead of just walking down the street and being ping-ponged between all the H&Ms and Esprits of the world.
What if, just a question for you, Nespresso first. I'm thinking, what if we really go borderless? Like you enter a space, right? And you can have your coffee. It's an espresso coffee. It's only an espresso coffee. But then you sit on Vitra chairs, you know, you then have your, clothing around you, which are part of somebody else's brand and stuff. I mean, these spaces that are almost like in total flux, almost non-brand, although they are totally branded. I've never seen a space like that, you know, just thinking about it from this point of view, where you have like a very, I would say, elaborate experience that you can really work, you can have coffee, you can meet, you have concert there, you have whatever, and each one is identified by a very specific brand that does that, and that becomes a synergy, you know. This is something that, you know, you take like a few companies that have so much in common that create new synergies together. And I don't know how you would call this place, if you want to call it, but I've never seen such a space. I was just wondering what you think about something like that.
In my opinion, it's called multi-brand stores. I mean, you know, it's not easy because at the end, if you look from this perspective, it's so exciting from a consumer point of view. When you look from the business point of view, the key question is who is owning the profit and loss of this business, you know? So when you land to that, it's so difficult to then balance and to find the right deal among different brands. For what concern our experience in store design, we are making some partnership with some key furniture players, like, you know, Vitra, Fritz Hansen, many brands that are coexisting in our. But then it's true that when we design a store, we want to welcome our consumer in the home of Nespresso. We want to really create an experience around coffee with different meaning, with different values, but all in all, on top of the door, we believe on the fact that you are entering in your home, in our home, which is the coffee home, you know.
We do have a question, actually. Could we take the microphone?
Okay, hello. I leave it in the middle of what I'm personally my point of view on this is, but I have one question. What is the real commitment that you really want to follow hospitality? if I hear you talking, for people, if the whole world becomes one big hospitality, one big experience, I would say even one big smile, is that real? Because what about the grumpy, pure, clean product? Should I worry? I don't know. It's all a bit too perfect, no?
You can still buy things online and not deal with anyone ever.
Yeah, but can you still be pure in this retail world, as you people describe?
Do you mean not losing your identity?
No, just me being the manufacturer or the one who sells the one product that does it. Do you always need to make a complete story? If I phrase Stefan Zaakmeister, fuck storytelling, the best storytellers are the ones who do not tell a story.
Yeah, but still, I think, yeah, they'll if you say hospitality, and there will always be the big brands, but there'll also always be the small brands, the DIY shop, like people like five guys who sell nice race bikes, and they really built the shop by themselves, and you see it, and it really feels like they have really thought about it, and they tell their own story. It's also a story. If this guy around my office, he opens a little coffee place just on his own, and he sells records and coffee, it's his story. And this guy, I believe him better and easier than let's say McDonald's to compare to. So yeah. Discussing about hospitality and the future, to me, does not mean that the future of retail will be owned by only the big players. There will always be niches, and you can also tell your true story, your honest story. If you look at materials, at finishes, at ways of selling it, of building it, of how easy the shop can be reused, probably, or where does my coffee come from? There's way more levels than just the smile, and we all live in the world of W, for instance.
I have to say, I'm not a big. I don't understand really in retail. I'm buying a lot, but I think the good news for you is that actually, if I go, I think 2 years back, I went in the Negenstraat, in the 9th Street in Amsterdam, which is an unbelievable, amazing street. And a guy told me, I have to go out because the rent becoming too high. And it was really a pity because costs came there instead of this small bicycle shop, and the area became less and less interesting. But I think that's my opinion, that in the future, because I buy much less now, I buy a lot of online, a lot of these places will be vacant and will be open for more real, local, for more experience, maybe more food and beverage. I think food and beverage will replace a lot of the retail to make this destination as a place that's much nicer to go. Yeah. So I think that's something that I see now. You know, I don't know, you walk in Broadway, half of the shops are empty. When 3 years before you talked about like crazy prices. I think this is also a movement that will actually improve for the person that buy and for the local one that want to sell.
We do have to stop there. I'm really sorry to cut you short. But we can continue the discussion off stage with whoever's interested from the audience, of course. Thank you all very much for joining me for this. And I'll pass you back to your host, Robert Zimmer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry? Tracy, thank you very much. Matteo, Tobias, Alon, and Liran for sharing your insights and discussing the state of the art in your business, hospitality and retail.